What up y'all, it's ttar, and today we're talking about Volcanion in Pokemon Legends ZA and whether realistically it would get a Mega Evolution or not. It is the last Pokemon in the Kalos decks. As of this, we have gone through all the Pokemon. Diancie, Hoopa, and then Volcanion. What nostalgic names. These three screenshots still to this day have such a weird feeling to them. And now here's the final one, Volcanion. Would Game Freak Mega Evolve Volcanion? And I've got an interesting answer for this. You see, the three mythicals, you would think Volcanion is supposed to get something. Diancie got a Mega, Hoopa got an alternate form, so that left Volcanion a bit naked, and it makes sense that they would give Volcanion something to complete the trio. And I agree with this. But more than a Mega Evolution, what I would really want for Volcanion is just an alternate form. Kind of like Hoopa Unbound, right? A different form Volcanion takes, because Volcanion is this really mysterious Pokemon that it's got such a synthetic Pokemon look to it. Like it was made to be this steam Pokemon, fire water type. It's got like the core, that giant coconut in the center of its body. Let me move here. And that's supposed to be some kind of organ that can generate the steam. And then it's got these two tubes that can turn into a cone so you can pick them up to go. You know, while you got Pokemon like Heatran and all, which look like they could have been natural, Volcanion does not look like it was natural. It hits a little too close to looking like something man-made. Now you may be saying, hold up, there are some Pokemon that look man-made. For example, Blastoise. Yeah, you forgot about him, didn't you? I think I'm breaking my own point by saying this. Blastoise has cannons. Blastoise is not a man-made Pokemon, but that was early days of Pokemon. That's really the best I can say, where it wasn't meant to be that deep. But you know, we've come a far way since Gen 1, and they never really went back to that simple badass take on Pokemon. So out of nowhere, when they introduced Volcanion here with these tubes, that's really the first impression I got from it. So what I think would be cool is, instead of giving it a Mega Evolution, if it got an alternate form where, because it's a man-made Pokemon, its body can actually take a different appearance. So maybe something like it stands on its hind legs and the tubes act as its like forearms so that it can stay standing up while it's more focused on these two front arms, whatever this form would be. Or it could be something like the coconut opening up and you've got like this whole other look for Volcanion. But it doesn't have to stick to this exact appearance for Volcanion and just be in like a different orientation. I actually wanted to evolve into a different look. I don't want the differences to be like Shaman to Shaman Sky. I want it to be more like Hoopa to Hoopa Unbound. So this Volcanion just looks completely different. Because there is a different take here, right? If it goes from Shaman to Shaman Sky Volcanion here, that means its base stats would remain 600. That's just, it's a simple form change. But if you do the Hoopa approach and evolve its appearance, it can actually get a stronger form where it's 680 BST. And then that would complete the trio in an interesting way. Mega Diancie, the release Gen Hoopa, and like the full form of Volcanion. And that would be the alternate forms to the Kalos Mythicals. It lets out billows of steam and disappears into the dense fog. It's said to live in mountains where humans don't tread. It has enough power to blow away a mountain. Now, that's really all its Pokédex entries are. It's not very interesting. But there is something that I think maybe y'all don't know about that's very interesting about Volcanion. It might not be a Kalos Pokemon at all. It might have just been spotted in Kalos and so registered in this dex. And this comes in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. That's right, not even the X and Y games. You wait a whole year, and there's a little hint of extra lore for Volcanion in those games, where the dude who runs one of the Battle Frontier facilities, Brandon, I think it's Pyramid King Brandon. You don't see him in ORAS because there's no Battle Frontier, but he's had a run-in with Volcanion. Now I'm gonna look for a video of it because I don't want to play ORAS myself. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go, Blessed. So this is an ORAS when you show Volcanion to someone in your party. Hot diggity, that's a Volcanion you have there, isn't it? As far as I know, the people in that group are the only ones in history to have seen this Pokemon, a certain group of people. What a day, I like you, kid. I'm the head of the studio. How about I show you some top secret specials we made about Volcanion? So they don't show you footage, it's just a black screen, but the text dialogue will show footage of characters meeting Volcanion, right? There's 3 parts to it. So part 1, this is a special edition of MVTV, Explorations of the Ancient World. Join us deep in the swamplands of the Kalos region where we found a mythical Volcanion. So yeah, this you would expect. Volcanion is in the Kalos decks. If only we could have found the swamplands in X and Y. ... Explore, but boss, there it is, it's Volcanion. Big Brandon. This is Pyramid King Brandon, he's adventuring. Oh, get back. If it blows, it could send even huge mountains flying. It can change moisture into superheated steam in an instant with its internal organs, causing a massive explosion. Tell me, what did Volcanion need to develop that organically, bro? What conditions was it cornered into to choose this path of evolution? This thing is man-made, bro. This thing was, in my theories, this thing was man-made to function as like a repair or something for a factory. It was supposed to be like a tool to help a factory, a steam factory function. All right, let's go to part 2. This is a special edition of MVTV, Explorations of the Ancient World. Join us in the untouched woodlands of the Sinnoh region, where we found a mythical Volcanion. Now, isn't that interesting? Volcanion was spotted in Sinnoh. But boss, there it is, it's Volcanion. Brandon, oh, get back. Look at those arm-like things growing out of its back. It uses those to suck in moisture to turn them into thick fog. If we stay here, we'll be trapped in the fog. And then let's go to part 3. The special edition of MVTV Explorations. Join us on the desert island in the Johto region. Those games from 25 years ago, technically, Volcanion been in that region too. So Volcanion's been spotted in various different regions in the past. And I bring this up because this kind of acts as a counter to what I was saying, right? Well, if Volcanion's man-made, it sounds like it would have been made in the modern day, maybe by like Team Flare or something. But clearly it's been traveling around. So it makes you wonder what really is its origin. I would say it was still man-made, just a bit back. We know back in the day, they did have technology. We only have really 1 or 2 instances of this. The one instance I'd say is AZ when he made that weapon, right? But there's not too much to talk about how effective that technology was. The other instance I would say is Area Zero, kind of, right? You had those ancient people who we still to this day, they never told us what was up with it, but they left remnants in Area Zero, right? So that's the second group. 2 groups that had technology back then. But yeah, there's actually a third instance which pairs very well with Volcanion, which is 500 years ago, when a certain Pokemon was made with a soul heart, Magearna. I know you forget about Magearna, but Magearna is an interesting Pokemon that apparently was made by someone 500 years ago. It is a man-made Pokemon, which is why it has this Pokeball appearance, even though Pokeballs were invented after. And they're gonna go and say Pokeballs were inspired off of Mungus? My dudes, how does Magearna have the appearance of a Pokeball? Is the dude who made it a time traveler? But either way, here's what's cool about Magearna. There's a movie about Magearna where Volcanion is the one shown alongside it. So that actually gives us a good time period to place Volcanion's origin in, if my man-made theory is right, which is 500 years ago, made at the same time as Magearna by the same scientists or group of scientists. And so it'd be this Pokemon that originally had some function in a factory, I'd say, and then after the days of the factory were gone, Volcanion went into the wild and then was later spotted in various regions as if it was just a normal Pokemon. So I think it'd be cool if you could give Volcanion this brand new item in Legends EA, because if it was made 500 years ago, dude could be wandering in Legends EA's time, right? This is why I want to pair it with Magearna's time period and not set it with the modern days. And so maybe you could give it an item, something like, I don't know, mysterious water. That would be that item, like the prison bottle. And you give it to Volcanion and it allows it to go into a new form. It's because Volcanion has the ability to water absorb. Maybe there's a certain kind of water it needs. And right now it's walking around in a weaker form. And back in the factory days, it was near a certain kind of water where it could take on a different appearance, which was much stronger. That's the idea behind me saying that. Or instead of water, it could be something like an actual piece that Volcanion is missing. So, you know, an item that maybe looks like Volcanion's little coconut center, and it's called Mysterious Part, and it's like a core from the ancient days where Volcanion was made. And if you give it to Volcanion, maybe it acts like a power source or something and lets it tap back into an old form. That's another way. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on Volcanion. That's what I would predict Game Freak would want to do for it. But there is one last thing to mention, which is that Mega Volcanion sounds so cool. And since Volcanion is associated with Kalos, the simplest thing Game Freak could do is just make a Mega Evolution of Volcanion. This exact idea can still be replicated through a Megastone, and then the Pokédex entry could say Volcanion has taken on a new appearance that it seems oddly comfortable in. But yeah, that's my thoughts about dudes, but I have so much I do want to talk about Volcanion in the future. Some interesting stuff, so we'll cover that later, but first, Let's check out some fan art for this, see if it can change my mind. Alright, oddly, there's quite literally zero fan art of an alternate Volcanion form or a Mega Volcanion. The best I can give is this, but it's a black and white coloration really. But what they did here was give it like primal features like you would see in a Paradox Pokemon with spikes coming out of its arms and all. They made it like italicized with its face, sharpness everywhere, and then they gave it a third tube. I'm just randomly throwing colors at it, but you can kind of see what it's supposed to look like. This is the best I'll colorize it. And this is actually a more classic look for a Mega Evolution where it isn't too much an improvement, right? Mostly all it gets is that third tube. It kind of looks like something Game Freak would do. And honestly, if Game Freak want to shave off time, they don't gotta do my weird Transformers idea at all. That's probably all they should do. Just make a Mega Volcanion, Volcanionite gets a third tube. But yeah, Volcanion has incredible potential. I so badly want to see it standing somewhere. I saw this image on Google. It doesn't mean much, but it's Volcanion standing somewhere, right? I want to see this in 3D in that Legends game. You go to some weird old abandoned factory in Kalos, right? In this Lumios that's about to be redeveloped, you go somewhere and in the darkness, you just see this Volcanion standing somewhere. I want that so bad. Shank that like button, my dudes. Let me know your thoughts. Mega Volcanion, alternate form Volcanion, or nothing for Volcanion in Legends EA. Which do you think will happen? And well, we're done with this series. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.